go on stage and introduce somebody at Blues Fest every year. But then it got to the point where it was so complicated at that stage with so many people and so many announcements that they thought it would just be easier if they just let me do it all. And whatever other special person was out there, I would introduce them. So, and then it went on forever. And I hope this summer too.
You have become the voice of the Blues Fest, no doubt about it, on the main stage. Every year it's fantastic. And I want to talk a little bit, as we talk here on stage, about your connection to the music scene, because you've been so supportive of it for all these years. But before we get into that, I mean, your radio career, known here in Chicago, there are people that go back to your days at the Fox, WJKL, in the late 70s. WXRT for so many years. Everything you did there, Blues Breakers, and your hosting of the regular format at XRT, and then we were lucky to have you at WDCB for the past 10 years. Your Blues Time on Saturday nights. But go back, tell us if you can, go back to the very sort of beginning. Was there like a pivotal thing or something that captured your spirit that made you say, I want to get on the microphone and share music with people on the radio?
Man, I dug radio from when I was a little kid, and it was a really exciting time when I was 10 or 12 years old, and I had my first transistor radio, and I'd listen to hometown station in Grand Rapids, and I'd listen to the afternoon guy who was Skip Bell, the bright bouncing, bubbly bushwhacking bachelor boy, ringing the bellbuster, and I thought that was so cool. And then we had stations that would sign off at local sunset, and then we'd pick up the Chicago stations. Man, they sounded even better. They were just fantastic. WLS and WCFL and all of that. And I came to Chicago, and I tell you, I really think my radio career started at a very exciting time and went through a lot of exciting times, and ended up when the best of all radio these days is listener-supported public radio like WDCB. That's where it's at. That's where everything's at. Little tiny stations all over the country, and big stations in big towns, but the listener-supported stuff is just so great. The commercial stations, the way they program, they want to get as many people every 15 minutes as they possibly can. So they, just like the top 40 stations started doing when I was a kid, they just start repeating songs so that every time you tune in, you hear one of the songs that's really popular. But public radio has a whole different approach. Instead of trying to get as many people as possible every 15 minutes, you try to please everybody as much as you can all the time, so that they like you so much they write a check and send it in every now and then. And that's a way better plan.
And now we got to bring you out of retirement for the next pledge drive.
Well, I'd be happy to.
But Tom, there's a famous story in the blues, for those of you that get into blues history, about Muddy Waters and his first recordings on the plantation with Alan Lomax, like 1941 or whatever it was. And he heard his voice for the first time.
Actually, before I was around,
yeah.
Even though I was
But he heard his voice, and when he heard it, he said, hey, I can do it. Like, he realized he was really good when he heard what he really sounded like to other people. You ever have a moment like that here when did you know you could do it on the radio? When did you realize you had the confidence, hey, maybe I got something here?
Well, that was just a couple of weeks ago. As soon as I said I'm retiring, everybody started telling me they love me. So I'm just learning that now. And I appreciate it, really, I do.
But seriously, I know you're very modest. I mean, there must be some point where you realized, hey, this is something I can really make into a career, and you went after it early on, back in the 70s.
Well, to go back again to my youth in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I used to go over to a friend's house and we'd listen to the stereo over there, and he lived just a couple of blocks away from a public radio station at the local college there, and we'd go over there a couple of times and just drop in on this guy who was doing this progressive radio station at night. They didn't have anything locked up or anything, and we went to the tallest part of the administration building, and sure enough, there's a radio studio up there, and there's Edward II up there doing his show, and I just said to myself at that point, well, I could do that. You know, I like music, and I know music, and I can speak good grammar, more or less. I could do that, and that was an eye-opener for me then, and that's when I decided to pursue it.
Yeah, well, we are all happy that you did.
I hear Dave Herrero, he was looking right at me singing, my middle name is Trouble. And I'm thinking, yeah, my first name is Prostate. But that's 75 years old for
you. You know, it's great that we've all gotten to know and love your personality on the radio and your humor, you know, but there are a lot of people that are in radio that even do music radio who really don't care about the music all that much. They're more into being a performer, and some of them are really great at it, but they're not even thinking that much about the music. It seems like the genuine love of the music that you have always kind of shows through.
Yes, and that really separated all the stations I've worked from all the other stations in the market where they were. From the early days, the small town radio stations, but WJKL The Fox was that way, and XRT was that way for all the years I've been there, and WDCB is that way. And by that way, I mean people aren't doing that job because they really think they love performing on the radio. They're all doing that job because they love the music so much. And the greatest thrill is to play a song that you really love for other people. Whoa, listen to how good this is. And that's how it was at XRT while I was there, and that's certainly how it is for everybody, I think, that works on the air at WDCB.
You know, thank you. And you know, it is something we all love to be able to present, all of us that love this music. You know, tell us about your support of the music scene. I mean, why has that been so important to you, and how have you been able to pull it off? It's not always easy to do that within the structure of a radio station or a format or how that works, but it seems like you've always been able to really show your support in a demonstrative way on the radio.
Well, WXRT, it wasn't exactly a free-form radio station, but we did have the ability to choose the songs that we played out of different categories. Like you play a familiar artist new song or an obscure artist old song, and there'd be a certain number of all of those kind of songs you had to mix up into an hour. And then they had some pretty big baskets of songs to choose from when it was the less familiar songs, and smaller baskets to choose from when it was the really popular songs. So you could make all of that work, and you could pick certain things, and therefore every disc jockey sounded different. We all had different favorites, and I've always thought that it was important to pick a song that was going to matter most, and especially with my blues programming, I wanted to pick a song that would count for something. First of all, that it would count for an entertaining radio program, but secondly, for example, if I had a great song by a local artist from Indianapolis or something, I wouldn't weigh that as heavily as a great song from a local artist from Chicago. Yeah. Because if I played the song from Indianapolis, people might hear it and that's it. It's over. But if I played the song from somebody from Chicago, then people in Chicago would better know that artist, and they could go out and see the artist, and they could buy the record. And so every spin would count for more. Every spin would support the artist and the scene and the fans more. And so I was always very careful to play artists who were coming up in town in the next week. And I had another theory, mostly with my blues programs, which was to feature people on their birthdays, because that would force me around my library every year so I wouldn't forget to play anybody. I'd get around to one at least once a year. That's it.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom. Love you, man.
Is it fun for you to play things on the radio and have people come up and ask you about a song you've played? And do people sometimes, I know some of us have had this experience over the years where someone will ask you about a song you played 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but it's stuck in their mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Doesn't mean it's stuck in mine, though. You know, sometimes I can answer questions like that, but sometimes I can't.
But to me, one of the interesting things is it points out that experience that people have on the other side of the microphone, that you're putting this music out there, and you might reach someone at a real pivotal time in their life, or just maybe in their day, and have some deep meaning to it. Is that something you ever reflect on or think about the impact?
Well, I don't know what, yes, I reflect on it and I think about it, but I don't really know what to do about it. I can't remember every song I've played, and I don't know all the lines in the songs that might jump out at somebody that maybe didn't jump out at me, but I try to keep track of all of that stuff. I write everything down. That's the best I can do.
Well, hey, Chicago Blues. This music, we've been so fortunate to have you do Blues Day Tuesday here with the live broadcast. Here from Fitzgeralds, many years with WXRT during Blues Fest with live broadcasts there. Incredible music that you've been able to bring to the public. Why is it you think that the blues survive so well here in Chicago?
Oh man, everybody loves the blues if you play it for them and they understand it. You know, that's what Buddy Guy used to say to me. You know, he still, every time he comes up on stage, he kind of has bad things to say about radio. Why don't they play my music? And if they played it, then people would love it. Now, Norm Weiner, who was the program director I worked for at WXRT, for a while there, he was vice president, a national vice president for CBS Adult Alternative Radio, which is what they called our station. And he was involved in setting up a station in Washington, D.C. And they had what they called auditorium tests for music. So they'd bring in potential listeners, and they'd all be in a room, and they'd play them 20 or 30 seconds of a song and say, do you know this, do you like this, and rate this. And he slipped in some Muddy Waters, you know. It was just completely out of the question. Nobody would test something like that with a group like that for a company like that, but he'd slip in some Muddy Waters, and nobody had heard of him, but everybody loved him. And that just proved it. I had to go tell Buddy Guy that. And he was, that's right, Tom. It's true.
Well,
but
Tom,
somebody was just saying about the blues in Turkey. Was that Jimmy Burns and Dave Herrera were talking about that? Yeah, people around the world like it when they hear it. A friend of mine who went on vacation to Thailand sent back a recording of a band playing in a beach town in southern Thailand, and they're playing the Muddy Waters song, and everybody's going crazy about it.
Can't be satisfied, baby.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I know I would love to ask you so many more questions, but we do have a lot of music to get to, and we even have a few more things we want to do on the stage before we get back to the music. So as we wrap up the conversation, now that you're in retirement, I mean, you're out seeing a lot of music still. It seems like you're not slowing down on that front.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, you're not retired from enjoying the music. I guess that isn't the question.
I have more time to do fun things.
We'll get more into it. Yeah. We'll get more into it.
Well deserved, Tom. We are so appreciative of everything you've done in your career and everything you do to help us enjoy the music, you know?
It's been my pleasure. I mean, really, it's been my pleasure. People are thanking me for all this great work I did, and I had the easiest job in the world for my entire career. I never had to wear a tie or a suit, no offense, but I went from kindergarten to retirement with the same outfit, blue jeans, t-shirts, and gym shoes. So, the pleasure is mine, and I thank everybody for their support of blues and their support for Blues Tuesday. And we do have a great show coming up.
Well, thank you, Tom. Hold tight, though, because we do have just a moment. I think I wanted to bring up to the stage just a couple of your WXRT friends who wanted to say a couple quick words.
Yeah.
Charlie Meyer said it's going to take the microphone. Charlie has been to, I think, about almost as many Blues Day Tuesdays here as you have, Tom, but also worked in news at WXRT during the part of the time when you were there. Here's Charlie.
Thank you, Dan.
Charlie was there at XRT when I started, and he's one of the most regulars for Blues Day Tuesday, but he always leaves after the first set because it's getting pretty late at 8 o'clock.
You know, doing the morning news for so many years, it's hard to stay up.
Yeah. Well, that's why we started early. We like to do that.
You know, I'm anti-climax to this great interview in which you said so many wonderful things. But it's a privilege to be up here. I'd like to take a moment to introduce the WXRT chief engineer for so many years.
Oh, how about
Mark
that?
Nielsen is here.
All right. Take a mic. You get this one.
I've always wanted to say this. Is this thing on? I started at XRT in 1985, which is when I met Tom, who I've known almost as long as I've known Terry Hammer. And Tom has made my life easy in one very important way. Radio engineers hate coffee, because coffee gets spilled in everything. And what Tom has done for me over the years is he's never, to my knowledge, ever spilled coffee into the equipment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I always kept it over on that shelf. We have a little shelf by the doors just to keep your coffee over there, not bring it by the equipment.
I want to take you back to 1979, in the summer of 1979. Yeah, it was not a bad year. I had just been hired at WXRT, and it was the break of a lifetime, I thought then, and I was right to think that. Just a few months later, though, actually a few weeks after I was hired, there were some changes in management and in staff at XRT. And it made at least some of us a little bit nervous. What's going to happen here? But as those changes unfolded, and in just a few months after my hiring, early 1980?
Yeah, mid-80.
Yeah, a few months later, there were a number of staff changes, including Johnny Mars, who was here earlier and would be up here now, actually, and far better at this than I am, except he's getting up early tomorrow to do Saturday morning flashback on WXRT. And Tom Martin. And it became clear with those hires that, to coin a phrase, everything was going to be all right. So through the years, I just want to thank Tom for being a great co-worker, a wonderful talent, a friend and neighbor here in the greater Berwyn metropolitan area, who has, in addition to all he's done for radio listeners, for this community, for the blues community, has provided my wife and me with a social life later in the evening. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'd just like to thank the weather gods, because generally during the set break here, a lot of people will go outside, get a little fresh air, have a little chit chat, but you're all stuck in here. So thank you very much for being in here during the break.
By the way, music's only a couple minutes away, but if you want to turn your attentions to the video screen over in the corner, Tom, I think you'll want to see this. We have a couple of your friends from the blues community who wanted to say a few words.
Nick! Happy birthday. Hey, Tom, it's your birthday, man. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, Nick.
Man, you've done so much for Chicago and the blues. Thank you so much, Tom. Enjoy your birthday, buddy.
Feliz cumpleaños, Tom Marker. Happy birthday for my brother. Happy 75. We're in California, so the NAM show. We're sending love to Fitzgeralds all the way from Cali to Berwick, Illinois. Miss you. Guys, enjoy, have fun, and keep the blues alive. Cheers.
Yeah. Ivan.
How you doing, bro? We got a birthday coming up soon, and I'm sorry to say I won't be there, but I'm sure would love to be there. We're gonna miss you doing the Bluesy Tuesday. We love you, man. We want you to keep on living, man. Thank you so much for the time being with you.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm on tour and can't make your birthday party, but man, I know you're gonna have a great one. Just thought I'd wish you a happy birthday. Cheers to you, my friend.
King for a day, Nigel.
Happy birthday, Tom Marker.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Ronnie Baker Brooks. I want to wish Tom Marker a happy 75th birthday. I wish I could be there physically, but I am there in spirit. Celebrate, enjoy yourselves, give my love to Debbie and the family, and thank you for all you've done for the blues and continue to do for the blues in Sweet Home, Chicago.
Yeah.
Ronnie Baker Brooks' birthday is today.
All right. Well, hey.